and we're expecting to have a great show for you this evening. Did you enjoy the Macallan 10-year-old fine oak that you had on the way in? Yeah. Okay, obviously, yeah. A lot of smiles on your faces. Appreciate that. That's the first of several Macallans you're going to have as part of the show this evening. Yes, great. I love that. Before we do get started, I've got a couple of housekeeping details to go over real quick. First of all, cell phones, pagers, iPhones, Blackberries, anything that makes noise that might disrupt the show, please go ahead and turn that on vibrate or mute at this time. We would appreciate that. Also, of course, there is no smoking inside the facility. Restrooms are actually located up on the other side of the lobby that you came through when you came through the registration area. So all you have to do is head through the exit door over there, up the stairs, and right across the lobby. We've got a very dedicated, enthusiastic serving team. They're going to be visiting your tables several times this evening. And they're excited because they're going to be bringing you Macallans and making you very happy. So all I ask is that you try to keep the aisles clear, when you see them coming through. Also, you might see the table next to you getting their Macallans before you. I do not want to see any whiskey envy in the house tonight. All right, so just be patient. I promise you, everybody will get your Macallans at the appropriate times. At the end of the show, we are going to ask you to depart through the same door on that side of the studio that you came through, up the stairs and out to Massachusetts Street. If, for any reason, you feel like you've had one too many scotches this evening or anything, remember, Macallan has always encourages you to savor responsibly. All you have to do is let me or one of the staff know. We'd be happy to call a cab or hail a cab for you, get you home safely, okay? So, now that we're done with that crap, you guys ready to have some fun? All right. I want to hear this awesome Friday night Washington, D.C. enthusiasm as we welcome our ambassador for the Macallan. But more importantly, this is the man that's buying you your whiskeys tonight. All right? So, give it up for Graeme Russell.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to an evening of drinking some of the finest whiskey you'll ever drink, probably. As Joe was kind enough to introduce me, my name is indeed Graeme Russell. Very fortunate to be the brand ambassador for the Macallan. Although between you and I, I'm not actually sure what the definition of a brand ambassador is. But basically, I get to drink single malt whiskey for a living. Okay? And yes, it pretty much is as good as you're thinking it is. All right. I've been doing it now for about 4.5 years. A lot of fun, a lot of travel, get to go to a lot of interesting places. Particularly in Washington, D.C. Had a great day. The weather was fantastic today. Got to tour a few of the sites. But I think in the last 4.5 years, I've only come across one small downside to this job, and it's this. Get up in the morning as we do, have a couple of Macallans for breakfast. Great way to start the day. Okay. Mid-morning, I think most of America drinks coffee. Not in Scotland, we drink whiskey. Okay. Lunchtime. One of the most underestimated drinking occasions there is. All right, great time for another whiskey or so. When else can we drink whiskey in Scotland? Afternoon tea. Afternoon tea in Scotland is very different from afternoon tea in England. They mess around with cucumber sandwiches with the crust cut off. All right, we just have another dram or two. So actually, by the time it gets to this point in the evening, I can have consumed a fair amount of whiskey, and from time to time that leads to memory loss. So actually, this screen is here more for my use than it is for yours. It reminds me when I get on stage who I am and what I do. Okay? And that is to be your host this evening, to introduce you to some of the wonderful whiskies from Scotland, but also to share with you some of my experiences. And I think the most important one is that whiskey is definitely like many of the finer things in life. All right? If you have a little bit more knowledge, a little bit more understanding, it really does help to heighten your appreciation for it. So I make no apologies that tonight will be educational, okay? And I think most of you who've arrived here tonight appreciate that. If you did want to sneak in and do 4 shots of the Macallan, the first thing about that, we don't do shots of single malt whiskey, all right? As I'm sure many of you know. If, however, you're still hell-bent on doing that, you know what? There's a bar down the street doing Jaeger bombs, all right? Aidan, I'm going to give you a couple of bucks for the first round, okay? We'll sneak you out in an interval. But we're only really joking because we know all of you have come here tonight to sip on some fine single malters. And in fact, on that note, anyone here tonight on a date? Anyone on a date? Couple at the back, yeah, the table, excellent. Anyone who comes to a whiskey event on a date definitely deserves another whiskey. So table over there, congratulations. Now, just before that, whose idea for the date? Whose idea was it? Yours? Cheap date, right? Exactly. Anyway, come on, you won't have any hard feelings getting free whiskey. Alright, but for the rest of us, don't worry, we're all going to have a whiskey together, alright? The first whiskey downstairs here this evening is the Macallan 12, okay? It's the traditional Macallan, which I'm sure many of you are aware